Tina Landon, there you are.
Here I is.
Here you are. And we are live on YouTube. And I'm very excited to welcome everybody that's tuning in. I'm actually just going to press my live button so I can see us on my phone to make sure everything is good. And so, excuse me while I turn to the left for a second. But it looks like we're all rocking. And here we go. All right. So Just Dance, we're going to talk about our new show that you and I have teamed up and collaborated on. So that's coming up in just a sec. We're going to explain what that is all about. We're also going to talk about a recent award that you received, which is like really amazing because I'm so happy that, people realize you need your flowers. So that's good. And I know you love flowers because you have a garden. So it's great. And then we're also going to take some questions from the audience. We have some questions as well that we've come up with. So we're super excited to get into that. We're just going to wait a little bit longer as I see people starting to join. So that's cool. And then Tina, actually, I did want to mention too, people need to make sure that you are followed on your Instagram account, which is at I am Tina Landon. So please do that. And you were super lucky or super fortunate. And because you're a celebrity, you got the little blue check mark.
I did. I did.
So you're Instagram official, which is amazing.
I am. It's the most official thing I've done without actually doing it. So that was fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, you had somebody help you out with that, right?
Now I'm somebody.
It's all about that little blue mark, that's for sure. All right, so let me just before we just start, I do want to thank a couple of people that are helping us or that have helped us get ready for tonight. So I just want to thank Amy Bruckner, who did some of the design work for us to promote the show. So did Mikey Garcia. I want to thank Kristen Jerome, who's moderating for us tonight. I also want to thank my better half, who's helping us moderate tonight. And I also want to thank the fans who have been super supportive of the Kelly Alexander Show for years. And anytime I do interviews with you. And so I just really appreciate anybody who is tuning in tonight. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Before I just start, I'm just going to say, Elaine, can you try to get me on the chat? Because I can't see it here. All right. So we are going to talk quickly, or I should say briefly, about Just Dance. So what happened is last year, an idea came to me because, you've been so gracious, Tina, to come on the show so many times over the years to do different things, whether we were talking about anniversaries of Scream, whether we were talking about anniversaries of the Velvet Rope, the Janet album, Rhythm Nation, all that sort of stuff. And as we've done these interviews, like the chemistry, I think, between you and I is just amazing. And you always, answer so eloquently and have given so much content to us, the fans. It's been awesome. So last year it came to us that it'd be cool to ask you to join me to co-host a show called Just Dance, where we talk to A-list choreographers and creative directors about their career and what they're working on. And because you are one of them, and often many of them either are colleagues of yours that you've worked with, or you've taught them in, dance class or on a job. It's just amazing to have your insight as a choreographer and as a creative director, because it's cool to hear what you want to ask them.
Yeah, it's actually fun because I don't really get that opportunity a lot. A lot of times in the past, like if I've been on a job with someone, like the last time I think I worked with Barry Lather, like we went and had dinner together and we just kind of started talking. Like we'd worked together a lot, and just like, he always calls me his little sis, but we never actually talked about our process. We just were so used to each other. And then to kind of actually relearn each other over the years, it was very interesting. So when you brought this to me, I thought, God, that could be really fun to, I always live in my own bubble. I think we all do as artists. We live in our own bubble. We deal with our own issues and we think they're all the same. And sometimes they're really not. Sometimes there's a lot that we have in common. And then sometimes there's like, whoa, I didn't even think about doing that. That's brilliant. So, it's really fun for me to learn new choreographers and kind of learn my friends that I've worked with in the past.
Amazing. Well, it actually thrilled me to bits when you agreed to do this with me. And so then it took us several months to work on things and work out how we were going to do this and how we were going to shape the content and all that sort of stuff. And then we finally were able to launch just at the end of June with our first interview, which was with the amazing Emmy nominated Luther Brown, who you knew but didn't know, right? Or had you met him? I'm actually trying to remember now. I can't remember. Did you meet him before?
He had worked on, I believe it was a triple threat job. So we did the convention, but we really didn't have any interaction, because if you've ever gone to a convention, that's very easy to do because everyone's in different rooms and teaching at the same time. So we see whether it is like on a lunch break or at judging, when you get to just like whisper and then you have to watch the competition. So you don't really get to hang out. So no, for me, it was like learning him, but also I had no idea his process and how he even got started. So that was really, really interesting for me to learn.
Amazing. And I just want to mention too, we're getting lots of people that are starting to log in to watch our live stream tonight. If you do want to join the chat, please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Kelly Alexander Show YouTube channel, which you're currently on. So just hit the subscribe button and away you go. And then you'll be able to join us for the chat. I do want to give a shout out to Mikey Garcia, who's joined us tonight. Kristen House, Kristen, by the way, is a huge fan of yours, Tina, and has been messaging me for a while. And so I just want to give her a shout out and thank her so much. We've got Carolyn Jones, Whitney Trailer, and a bunch of others that have logged in. So thank you so much for watching with us tonight. So back to Just Dance. With Luther. So he was our first interview and we talked about so many things, especially like on my end, he's a fellow Canadian. So it was cool to hear how he kind of came up through the ranks in Canada, because as a Canadian, I can tell you, just even as a Canadian radio announcer, it's, challenging to rise to the level where you might make it in the States, which I think a lot of people subscribe to. And obviously Luther is now a household name in the world of choreography in Canada and the United States. So it was interesting to see how he made his mark that way. And then it was just absolutely amazing to hear how he talked about working with Janet. And we're not going to give it away, but it was so cool to have you, who has worked with Janet, and then him, who has worked with Janet, and just sort of watch that chemistry play out.
Yeah, that was fun. Because there's a lot of things that we could relate to. And yeah, that was fun. I had no idea he was Canadian. Because, triple threat stuff, a lot of us were coming from the States. A lot of people were Canadian. I just always assume, unless I hear someone say about, that yes.
That's amazing. And Luther, has worked now in so many different, realms of R&B and pop. And hip hop, because he's done like Lizzo, he's done Sierra, I think was on the list. He's worked with, obviously we talked about Janet, and Gwen Stefani, which is, like at her Vegas show. So if you're looking for a really cool interview to see how he's managed to go into all those genres, it's really cool if you do sign up to Just Dance and watch his chat with us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working on my Jamaican accent with him.
He had that going on. It was amazing. And so just to mention, and I know Kristen is going to put this on, Kristen, who's moderating for us, she will put this in the chat, but to sign up for Just Dance, it's different than just following us on the YouTube channel. So you actually have to go to a new platform that we are on specifically for our show, Just Dance. So you go to hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show. And then right in front of you will be a link to subscribe to Just Dance. And it's $4.49 a month. And we really appreciate you supporting us, with that. I know it's like $4.49. It's less than a fancy cup of coffee. And I think many of us drink that several times a month, if not weekly. So
or for junior meal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably less than some sort of fancy alcohol as well. So we just appreciate that, because we are trying to work here behind the scenes on the Kelly Alexander Show and Just Dance to bring you the best content possible. And so to have this support gives us the ability to work on different content and to bring it to you. So we really do appreciate that $4.49 a month. We've already had a bunch of people sign up and subscribe. So I cannot tell you personally how much I appreciate that. I know Tina does as well. And we just keep wanting to get bigger and better. So that $4.49 a month really does help us and goes a long way to creating, content that we want to produce for you and that you want to watch, because clearly you love Janet Jackson. If you're watching this right now, you love the world of R&B and hip hop and pop music. And we just want to bring you amazing interviews. And as we mentioned, Luther Brown is our first one up. So if you actually sign up tonight, you can go and watch that Luther Brown interview in its entirety. And Kristen House, who's on this live stream watching it with us, she watched it and she said she absolutely loved it. So I really think you'll get a lot out of it. Watching Tina interact as now like a radio host, like you're Miss Interviewer, which is really cool.
I like this. Listen, if I could get paid to just talk, I would do it for the rest of my life. Are you kidding me?
That's amazing. So yeah, Kristen, again, my Kristen, CJ, who we'll call CJ right now, she's going to put this all up in the comments. I do want to thank Lark Thomas, who's logged in. I want to thank Michaela Harrison. Tina, she has been such a fan of yours as well. I'm not sure if that name rings a bell for you because I'm pretty sure she does follow me on social media, but she's so supportive of everything that we do with you when you come on the Kelly Alexander show. So I just want to give her a shout out. Also want to give a shout out to Rodrigo, who's been there forever as well. And just everybody who's logging in. So thank you so much for doing that. So that's the story with Just Dance. Now, at the end of the live stream, just before we log off tonight, Tina, you and I are going to announce our second guest, which is for the month of July. And okay. I know that the month of July is quickly coming to an end, but the interview will drop this coming Sunday, which is July 24th. So we wanted to tease that. So by the end of this live stream, we'll tell you who those, and actually I'm going to give it away a little bit. It's not one guest, it's two. It's two guests in one interview that we did with Tina. And I have to say, like, I'm not going to give it away, but these two choreographers and creative directors were so gleeful to speak with you. And you were like blown away because I know that you know how successful they are, but it was so great to have them give you your flowers.
Yes, they were so sweet. And I was completely shocked. Like they were, I don't know, they've always been that way. They've always been sweet people. I won't give it away. But yeah, it's, again, I like my flowers and they were very, very gracious.
Amazing. So now speaking of your flowers, please tell us about that recent award that you won where I think it was Florida, right? That you had to go pick up the award?
Yes. So I was at the Tremaine dance convention, the Tremaine Nationals in Orlando. And if some of you out there don't know who Tremaine is, it's Joe Tremaine. He is like the architect of dance. Like he's been around forever since I was a child and going to well, I only went to one convention and we didn't get to go back because we misbehaved. But it was like this big eye-opening thing. So for me, it's always been, like Joe Tremaine is up here, like his best friend is Cheetah Rivera. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who he hobnobs with. And that's where he came from and the work that he's done. And so they awarded me with my contribution to dance. And it was like full circle. So it's like, it was weird to actually call Joe Tremaine up here. Cause for me, he's still up here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's done so much for the dance community. And you talk about someone who's changed the face of dance and just brought so much knowledge and brought so much to all of us, and that he's still going. I think he's in his 80s. He's still going strong. The conventions are all over the US. I don't even know how many they've done, like hundreds each year. So imagine you've got at least 100 conventions. You've got hundreds. I think there's probably like 1,500 at nationals for in this one place. And then that just keeps trickling out. So he's touched so many people. So to be one of those that like, woo, I get the award. It was very, very surreal, but to also like be in the hallways, of the hotel and like peering over the balcony and like watching this group over there rehearsing. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember what that was like. Like you're up, like they were up until I think my head hit the pillow around midnight. And all of a sudden I hear, and my head looked up, I was like, oh, somebody just won something. And I went back to sleep. Like normally that would just piss me off. I'd be calling like, hey, who's making all that noise? But I knew like they were doing competitions. It was already like 12:30 at night and they're still going. And you see these little kids that are just like doing acrobatics down the hallway by the elevator. And to think that I was once one of them who was lucky enough to get a career doing what I love and then to be awarded for it in front of my peers was just it was surreal. It feels like I overused that word, but that's what it felt like. It kind of just felt like I was floating on this little cloud. It was really nice. More flowers.
And then, can you let us know some people who are around you? Because I know, like, you told me later, but I didn't know this. You actually were hanging out with Brian Nicholson, who is Ariana Grande's choreographer, which I think is amazing.
I think that was the first time we actually met, and he was super gracious and he just came over and started talking to me. I'm like, I think, and the thing is, okay, so can I just take you to the scene in Devil Wears Prada where Meryl Streep's coming down and she's got her assistant and the assistant is going, that's so-and-so, he's married to so. That's when I don't have Jason, I'm so lost. I just say hi to everyone because my brain is like all over. But Jason, I'm like, do I know them? She's, remember you hired them? I'm like, oh yes. And it always comes back. But in the moment, it's like, I have this, like, my brain is like a computer. So it's like, if I see you outside of where I know you from, I'm like, I know your face. And I know that maybe we work together. And some people, I feel so bad because some people are like, yeah, I auditioned for you like 5 times. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But I remember your face, so you must have been really good. But yeah, so I did not know that's who I was sitting with before we went in. Then once I figured it out, I was like, oh. But we ended up talking all night about their animal rescue, so it was really fun.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, because was his brother Scott there? I guess so, right? Because they usually no.
I think there was an emergency at the.
Okay.
So he was not there.
Okay, amazing. Well, congratulations again, because you deserve it. You've earned it like 1,000,000%. And obviously all of us, love you so much here. So, and what's interesting too, is, again, I can't give this away, but we've done now a few interviews for Just Dance that are now like recorded and ready to be released. And everybody that we have spoken to literally loses their mind when they're like, oh my God, like, and even with Luther, because we can obviously talk about Luther a little bit, like he mentioned just how like legendary you are, your choreography is, and how it's influenced him, and all these others that are coming feel the same way. What does that feel like, T? Like, does it finally start to sink in that you have influenced and helped guided people that are now killing it in the industry?
It's still weird, like, because I still look at some of them as, I don't know, maybe as when I first met them, and we talk about that in the show, right? It's like, yes, I remember this audition, or what stood out about you to me. So sometimes there's a time when I still think of them like that, and I look at their library of work and go, oh my God, like they've created so much. But I always look at it like I always saw that in them. So for them to kind of give it back to me just feels a little strange. It's like, well, I don't know that maybe I gave you an opportunity because I got you a job, and then but again, it's nice to have all that love and support. But at the end of the day, I feel like, yeah, but you would have done this without me. So
I don't think so, because you're Tina Landon. So again, thank you everybody who's logging in. We have a lot of people that are logging in to watch this live stream. I do want to mention, we're going to hit some questions now for Tina. So if you have some questions, I'll try to get to as many as I can. Make sure though that you've subscribed to the YouTube channel, because otherwise you won't be able to join the chat. So just hit the subscribe button right now, and you are off to the races. Oh, I want to give a shout out to a couple of people who have just joined. Benji Willingford, who is one of our subscribers to Just Dance, Tina. So Benji, thank you so much for being, one of the first people on board to give us a shout out and to support us, which we really, really appreciate that. So thank you very, very much. So now I'm going to start off with a question. And then if you have questions, again, please type them in. We're going to try to get to some of them before the end of the live stream. T, I wanted to start with, can you walk us through, like, briefly your process when it comes to choreography? Like, if you're handed a song, how does it roll out for you to work on it and get it ready for, let's say, a music video? Like, for example, Together Again. Like, how did that roll out?
Well, Together Again's different because I'd already been working with Jan for a long time.
Okay.
But still, I kind of have the same process where I'll listen to the song and kind of first get a first vibe, like, do I like it or don't I? Luckily with Janet, I pretty much liked everything. Like, but some of them was like, okay, I like this. How do I want, what does it make me feel like? How do I want to dance? How do I see it? So I'll listen over. I mean, I'll literally get in my car to drive so that I can listen to the song without distractions. I might miss my off ramp, but I won't. When I'm at home, it's really hard. Like I'll lock myself in a room, lay on the floor, put my headphones on. Every once in a while, I'll go, oh, and I'll think of a move and jump up, not warmed, not anything. And I'll try something. And that usually is the catalyst for what everything gets built around. Like if something stands out, I rarely ever start from beginning to, like I don't start at the beginning and then choreograph the whole song all the way through. Usually it's a dance break or a really cool moment in the song that moved me. And it gets me to do something like, ooh, this is kind of like with Together Again. Together Again was hard because that was a whole other monster. I re-choreographed that thing like 3 times.
Wow.
Because it was, the hard thing for me was like, it had this constant, almost aerobic beat that goes through the song, but her vocals were so sweet. And then there's a message that was so strong. I'm like, I don't know what to dance to. Like, So the first time I did that, it was very like, and 1, 2, 3, it was like very jazzercise. Like even Renee came in, we were both looking at me and I was like, Renee's like, I still see Janet doing this, like, because it feels very, and I was like, kind of aerobic. He's like, yeah. And I went, got it. I'm going to redo this one. But really, for the most part, it is just me listening and kind of letting the music talk to me and kind of talk to my body. Mm-hmm. And then again, I just kind of go from there and also trying to get a message in there. Like something about the lyrics always kind of determine as well which way my body's going to move or how I see the choreography going.
Amazing. And do you, and I guess it's different for every song, but like, do you start with the beat, or it might be a guitar lick or a bass line? Like, does that all change depending on what the song is and how it hits you? Yeah,
it's completely different. Like even with songs like What About, to me, that was, the most important thing for me was to get the message across, because that was such a strong song, such a strong message, so different than anything she'd done at the time. That for me, it was about, okay, what's the story? Let me figure out what the story is, and the movement will come later.
Okay.
Usually, if it's just fun, it's usually the movement first, or a drum lick first, or something. But if it's something with a strong message, it's really about how do I get the message across?
Now, this next question is a little like all over the place, but I'll go with it. So what happened is, obviously Jennifer Lopez has been in the news quite a bit the last week or so, because she's now married, right? She's Mrs. Affleck, J-Flo, if we will. So she came into my head, and then obviously Janet's always in my head with regards to you, but I know you work with both of them. And I know that Jennifer was at the beginning of the Janet project before she went off and made the movie, which then it was a catalyst to the rest of her career, which is obviously amazing. My question is, does Janet prepare differently for a music video than Jennifer Lopez? Or is there a huge difference? And because Jennifer did work with Janet, on the Janet album before she had to leave, do you think that she picked up some of how you and Janet made the magic happen? And I know she was a dancer before, like I get that, but I'm just wondering.
No, I don't, I'll tell you where they work a lot alike is that they're both very professional, and they both come from that school of thought that like, I can't just show up and get thrown the choreography. They both understand, Jennifer being a dancer first, and then Janet being a performer first. They both just understood the professionality of it and what it took. So it's like, yes, like they're going to make all their other meetings and interviews and whatever are going to be around rehearsal, because that's how important it was to both of them. So they understood that. And I think it really shows in all of their performances. Like you don't even have to guess, are they in rehearsal? Are they showing up? But they know what it takes. Mm-hmm. And they are very, very hard workers. So I think they have way more similarities than they would differences. But I wouldn't say so much that Janet or that J-Lo necessarily got anything from Janet, only because she was so trained in that way prior to her becoming J-Lo, that she already had all that professionalism built in.
Okay, amazing. Now, I'm looking at some of the chats coming in, and again, if you want to ask Tina a question, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way, you can get in on the chat. Mikey Garcia actually brought up, because you had brought up "What About." He wants to know, were there ever any plans for a "What About" music video?
Oh, that's a really good question, Mikey. Not to my knowledge, and I don't know. Especially then, it was the way labels worked and stuff. Like, they were really involved in picking the single, and even when we performed that wasn't the song that Fashion Rocks.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep. I think, and it was like 1997 or 98, right? You guys did that, so
Yeah, Fashion something. I know there's Fashion Rocks, but I thought that was in
H1 Fashion, whatever, one of those, right? I think it was that. Yeah.
They did not want that song.
They did.
I think they wanted oh God, what was the song? It was the newer oh shoot, it'll come to me. But they wanted an upbeat fun, and Janet was like, yeah, but this is really what I want to do, because we were opening the show.
Right.
And they kind of like, if you're going to open the show, you can't do that song. And Janet's like, well, I want to open the show and I want to do this song. And she was kind of like, okay, well, thank you. And we were walking away from opening the show, because that's how strong she felt about it. And they came back and went, okay. And they lost it. Like, everybody was on their feet. Everybody loved it. And it was kind of one of the first times, I think, that such a strong message was performed in that way, like in the pop world, right? In that setting, right? When everyone's trying to be sexy and cute and we're getting beat up on stage, and, but I think it shows that, her strength as an artist. But going back to the labels being so involved in stuff, I want to say that was also later on the album. So I don't think that was ever a thought to do a music video for that.
Somebody writes that it was the VH1 Fashion Awards, which sounds right. I want to give a shout out to Carrie Jackson, who has been such a supporter of our show forever. So Carrie, thank you for tuning in. Brandon Anderson, who was tuned in, appreciate that. Apparently, and a bunch of people have written that Go Deep was what they wanted.
How did they know that? Did I tell them? Thank you. See my brain? So please don't get offended if I can't remember songs like I choreographed. So yes, it was Go Deep. Thanks, guys.
Carrie also had a question, because we were talking about your process for Together Again. He wants to know, and I totally agree with him, because he says the choreography for I Get Lonely is pure perfection. What was your process for choreographing that song?
I don't know. I mean, that one, it's funny. What I remember was working on it with Shawnette in Hawaii.
Okay.
And Renee making fun of us about something. I don't know. Like, he was like teasing us to the point where we're like, is this stupid? Like, what we're doing? Is it dumb? And because Renee was like, again, we've talked about this. So he was kind of like that big brother to me. So he always knew how to kind of like poke me, all my little insecurities. I'm like, was this? And then we were like, screw you. Like, this is dope. Like, we like what we're doing. We're just going to keep doing it. But for me, I guess, like, that song, first of all, I just love, like, if you love Lonely, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it had so much feeling, right, in the song, where it was like, when it's just like that gut wrenching wanting somebody so bad. And so, like, even the movement of like, it's just like trying to express that feeling of like needing and wanting and feeling so much for somebody and not being able to have them. Mm-hmm. So as far as like listening to the music, that was a lot of kind of like in here in my brain, and kind of seeing the movement. And again, just trying to get like that message of like, this is what I'm feeling for this song. But it's funny, like the whole thing where we're ripping off our clothes, I remember we were in Europe somewhere on a bus. And I remember, I think I had Shawnette like listening, and I was like, I have this idea, but I don't know. Like, is it too much? Is it, and people who know Shawnette, like when she loves something, she's the kind that will like leave the room and run around to get out of her body. She's like, yeah, like she goes, and if she doesn't like something, it's like it's very obvious, like, eh. But I remember she was lying in her bunk and I was like, this is kind of, she's like, what are you doing? Because I was like outside of my bunk on the bus and I saw this. I was like, oh, let me get up and try it. And I was telling her, she was like, and she kind of made that look like, when you feel like, oh, like a little kid doing something wrong, but this could be fun. That's how we felt. Because we're like, and especially like, people who follow Janet, like she had a slow trajectory of being super, super sensual and sexual, right? So for us, and it was so physical and like strong and like kind of masculine, but still feminine. To me, it just like, we have to do this, but I didn't know how it would be received. I knew that Janet would like it because she likes, testing the waters. I just didn't know how it would be received outside of that, but sometimes you just got to go with your gut.
Amazing. Well, it is perfection. And it's like, and the minute you hear the song, you visualize Tina Landon choreography, like you just do. So good job, T. Good job. I'm just going to let Elaine, if you need to bounce, I totally get it. Okay. So now, so again, some amazing, here's a question from Jamie St. Henry. And I don't know, are you ever on TikTok? Have we had that discussion?
No, I'm not on TikTok.
Okay. Because there was a question about
I've seen a bunch of like people will send me all the time. Mm-hmm. I actually remember when it first started and I was like texting my 19-year-old, at the time she was 19, niece, and I was like, am I too old for TikTok? And she never responded. So I went, okay, maybe I am. So I never got TikTok.
Well, you should, because I put some of your interview clips up there, so you should definitely get on there. But are there any dancers? Because the question from Jamie was, are there any favorite dances or dancers on TikTok that you've seen that you think are pretty cool? But if you're not on TikTok, is there any up and coming dancers that you would have even seen at this Tremaine Award show that like have inspired you to believe that the next generation is headed in the right direction?
Oh my God, yeah! Like everyone at the Tremaine. I mean, I even said that, I think, in my acceptance speech. Like I was so impressed with the level of ability, but also for me, it's really important because there was a time when I thought, oh my gosh, nobody's learning technique anymore. What is happening? And are we getting so divided that we're, going to be like we were back when I was dancing? There's only technical dancers and only hip hop dancers that can't do, like, you got technical dancers that have no flavor. And then you have people with only flavor and no technique. But that was not the case. I mean, these kids are combining everything, but they are learning. And I always impress. And I'm not saying that hip hop doesn't have technique, because it does have its own, but it's different than a jazz technique. And I think that the more technique and the more tools that dancers have to give themselves, the more opportunities that they'll have. So yes, my confidence was well assured in this last convention that I saw.
A couple of comments have come in, and I just wanted to bring them up. First of all, when we were talking about the What About performance that you guys did at VH1, there was a picture too that's like online. You can find it. I guess it was when you and Janet and Shawnette were walking in, because you were all in these black coats and like trench coat things, and you guys look sick. So congratulations on that, because I don't think I've ever told you how cool you guys looked in that picture.
Well, thank you. But the thanks really goes to Janet, because we were like the Cinderellas and the pumpkin. She had us dressed. And I still have my Alexander McQueen like jacket. Doesn't fit.
What that was?
Yeah, I was in Alexander McQueen, and I don't know who Shawnette was in, but we were like in full on designer, like, and freaking out all night that we were going to rip something or diamonds were going to fall off our ears and stuff. We were literally, Shawnette, we would be walking. Shaunett's like, are my earrings still on? I'm like, You're good.
Were you like Janet's dates that night because you were caught on the red carpet together? Was that it?
Yeah, that was all her. we were fine just doing the performance. And then she's like, I
Yeah.
want you guys to walk with me. And we're like, okay. And of course, the first thought, we're like, we don't have clothes. And don't worry about that. And like literally it was like Cinderella, getting dressed up. And then we turned into pumpkins as soon as the show was over.
Actually, I'm super glad you brought that part of Janet up, like how generous she is with everybody, and like people that are on the tour, the kids, like, all that stuff. And that actually was one of the questions that I had recently. It was her birthday just like a couple months ago, and I was reading this article where it talked about where you actually had been interviewed back in the day about like her birthday parties and what they were like. And so I was just wondering, like, she's the superstar, and like I don't think she ever wanted gifts, but like did you guys ever get her stuff for her birthday? Because she probably had everything.
She did. That was the worst. It's like, what do you like? It's really hard. And I don't think sometimes and the thing is with Janet, like she never expects anything ever. Like literally she's fine with a hug and like happy birthday. She's not that person ever. But it's like really hard. It's like, what do you get for somebody like that would, that would make them go, oh my God, it would, and you're thinking it has to be something that like would take your whole paycheck.
Yeah.
Right. And oh my God. But really she's so, just open. I think a lot of times that people forget like the simplest thing, right? Whatever it is, baking something for somebody or a drawing. I can't even think right now.
But it's probably those things to her that mean the most, because yeah, she could go buy herself a new car in 2 minutes, right? But if you made her a cake or whatever, that means more because you're her bud and like you took the time to do that.
Yes, and she's one of those that definitely has that depth of understanding. Like, yeah, this is more than a financial thing. Like this came from somebody's heart, and that will always be something more to her than anything else.
Can you tell us what the most meaningful gift is she ever gave you? Like, I know, for example, that when you did the Scream project, like the Scream video and all that, and you guys won for that, for the MTV Awards, I know she gave you, when you finished the project, like she gave you a tennis bracelet, right? To thank you. And she gave Sean Cheeseman something like really nice as well to thank him for his help as well. Right. But what is the most meaningful gift? Because you guys were together for like over a decade. So can you let us know maybe like the most I'm sure there was many gifts, but is there one that kind of just like right away it sticks out to you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could just go down a list of like stuff that I could never afford to buy myself. And like what, and it's such a weird thing to get a gift like that. You're like, on one hand, you're like, oh my God. And then on the other hand, you're like, you can't help but think like, this costs way too much money. I mean, the thing is with Janet, it's like everything was a gift. You know what I mean? Like I lived with her for a month when I was having an issue with my apartment, and like those are the types of things that, they're irreplaceable. And yeah. And then just being able to pick up the phone and go, hey, can I ask Ricardo to make me some pasta? Cause can I use your cook like for the night? Like I couldn't even give you stuff that she has been so gracious to me about.
That's amazing. And what's also cool is that like it seems like that vibe from her has never stopped. Like, cause I think I read something a few years ago from one of the dancers that was on the State of the World tour with her. Like, I think she gave them all new laptops or something, like just, like great. That's amazing.
At all.
Yeah.
It was, this is going to sound hilarious because no one's going to know what it is. But back in the day when there were like VHS tapes, and this was before CDs, I think, but it was some stuff that musicians used. They were called DAT players, right?
Yes, yeah, I have one.
Okay, so it was a DAT tape, which was kind of like a cassette, but it only worked in this certain player, and it was really to run music through. And I was hanging out with the band, and I was learning to play bass, and so it's like she had given all the band. I think at that time, I don't know, they were probably like $500. They were expensive, these little things. It was like an oversized Walkman, right? But I remember her giving me that, just knowing that I was like, I wasn't part of the band, but I was trying to learn bass at the time. And so I don't know, that stood out. That was kind of
That's
neat.
amazing. That's like, yeah, she seems, again, not knowing her personally, but very thoughtful, which is cool. Here's a really great question from Jerry Jaguar, who's like, that's the best screen name ever, unless your last name really is Jaguar, because I love that. So he says, what do you think of physical floor choreography? During the 1993 tour, the Janet tour, there was a lot of, or there was, elements that were floor work. And he says, was that painful and to execute night after night?
Well, I love floor work. I do. I don't know. I like dimension, right? So I like the drop to the floor. I like being down there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sometimes it was difficult to do. In fact, I remember getting my hip flexors got really tight at one point from the constant like kneeling down. And it's funny because the rollover in Black Cat, like that big backward roll thing to the floor, that one didn't hurt as much as just like in Rhythm Nation, going to your knees and coming back up, because it was something that we did a lot. But I wouldn't have traded it for the world, because I love floor work. I think there's a place for it. I think that the dynamics of being in the air, on the floor, to the right, to the left, like using all of that space, it just enhances the choreography. So did it hurt? Yeah, but it was worth it.
Okay. Another question came in from Jeff Tony, who again is a huge supporter, which we appreciate. He writes, what was your favorite song to perform on tour? Now, he didn't mention which tour, so can you actually tell us? I'm going to take you back right away. Rhythm Nation tour, when you were in that mindset, in that early 90s, what was your favorite song to perform during that tour?
Oh, okay. With Rhythm Nation, I really liked Miss You Much.
Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, I loved Rhythm Nation, and don't get me wrong, like I really loved I can't go back and go, oh, I hated anything, or I disliked this music or this choreography. But I think there was something that Miss You Much kind of captured, like the cleanliness and the militantness of Rhythm Nation, but it also had that fun vibe, and the message was fun. So it just was always a feel good song. So that one was definitely one of my favorites.
Okay. Janet tour.
Oh, on Janet tour. Probably If.
If. Okay. Amazing. And your baby, Velvet Rope.
That's hard, because like I loved the opening, right? I loved was it Velvet Rope?
Yeah. When you guys came out with the canes and all that.
That one. And I just loved the cane. I love the props, right? So but I also just love that song. But I loved You. You was hard. Loved Lonely. And I also loved What About.
Okay.
Sound like I'm tooting my own horn.
No, it does not, because they're all amazing. And I've told you this before, and actually I'd love for people to chime in on this.
It's a song.
Sorry, TT, go.
Songs. You know what I mean? Like I loved the music.
I remember, so I was fortunate to see that tour 4 times and spread out a little. Like I saw 2 together I remember the month of July in 1998, and then 2 again together in September. So I kind of had like a month in between to kind of just let that, and then know I was going to see you guys again, and know like, oh, it's coming again. So I think that really helped me just kind of appreciate more all of what you guys had put together. But I've told you this, and I'd love for somebody to jump in and let me know if they feel the same way. That section where you guys did Got Till It's Gone and Together Again, and That's the Way Love Goes, like they were all kind of close together. Like I literally got emotional in the concert venue, like, cause I just couldn't believe how well it fit together. Did you guys know that? Like, did you know, T, that was like a really special part of the show? Like the whole thing was amazing, but I just remember that being like extra magical.
I don't know that it registered as like an extra magical. I know that those,
because they fit to, like, everything just fit. Like that, those songs just like fit, especially because like, it was That's the Way Love Goes and Got Till It's Gone together,
Right.
and then you obviously guys finished with Together Again, but it was just like, it was such a great climax and end to the show.
I think for us, it was more like, oh, okay. We only have 3 more numbers.
We're almost done.
But again, they were numbers that felt good on our body. So it was a little special. It was special for us in that it was like, okay, we've gotten over the hump. Like just hang in for these last few songs. But we also knew that like just musically how everything went so well together.
Yeah.
And when I'm choreographing, I like my body to feel good when I'm doing stuff. So I purposely want the things to flow and want the choreography to feel good while I'm doing it. So I'm glad that it also comes across that way.
Amazing. Now, I just want to mention again for people who are tuned in, if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now with Tina and I, which we hope you are, we'd love for you to subscribe to our new show so you can see more of this interaction that we've got going on where we interview A-list choreographers and creative directors. And so to do that, you just hit up hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show. And my moderator right now, CJ, she's going to put this back up in the chat for you to see it. When you jump onto that website, you click Just Dance and you subscribe for $4.49 a month. And you get really cool interviews, which we just did one, which for the month of June, Luther Brown, who has worked with Lizzo and Sierra and Janet Jackson, and the list goes on. And it was really great to see him interact with Tina. So we'd love for you to subscribe. And just before we wrap up, we're going to give you the surprise guests for July. And we'll tell you there's 2 of them. Also, don't forget to follow Tina on Instagram at I am Tina Landon. You can follow me at Kelly Alexander with 2 X's, and the show is at Kelly Alexander Show. So you're always up to date with what we've got going on for R&B and hip hop content, and of course our love for Janet Jackson. We had someone who just typed in and said, hold on, I want to just find this. I think she goes under the banner of Miss, which I thought was cool. Oh yeah, so she says, what was Tina? She's like, what was the most challenging thing about working with Ricky Martin, and what was the most rewarding thing about working with him?
Oh, I would say the most difficult thing had nothing to do with Ricky necessarily, right? It always felt like the camp around, whether it was like the director that we were working with, not on the tour, but like videos and whatnot. It always just kind of felt like, okay, who's running this show? Like everything was not, you get a little spoiled when you're working with Janet and you got like, everyone's got a job to do. And it's like, everyone falls in line and you start working with other artists and you're like, whoa, who is running this show? What is happening here? Like for instance, a really quick story. I think it was La Vida Loca. I'm just very used to doing an audition a certain way. It's very organized. I don't keep people longer than they have to be. Somebody sent up the audition for me, which did not ask them to do. And so dance auditions are not the same as actor auditions, right? Actor auditions, people come in every 5 minutes because that's all it takes. You're in the room, you're out. Dancers, you bring them all in at 1 o'clock. They're all out by 3 o'clock. And the next group comes in at 4 o'clock, that type of thing. So the calls went out. People were just showing up. It was a hot mess. The director never showed up in time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make the cuts. Then he came in and went through everybody that I cut and brought them all back to audition again, only to get cut. I was like, I actually know what I'm doing.
Oh
I know dancers, so in that respect, it has really had nothing to do with Ricky. It just felt like that was what I was dealing with a lot working with him. And the other thing with him, I think it was just that he blew up so fast in the US. We were, you get hired to do this job and then you think that's going to be it. And it was like in the middle of this job, it's like, oh, now we're doing this. Oh, now you have to go to Europe tomorrow. Oh, now. And it was just like, it literally was La Vida Loca. Like what I didn't know. It was a whirlwind of stuff. The best part is that Ricky is a beautiful human being. He was so incredibly talented. He's such a nice man. It was really hard sometimes for me to watch the dancers because I would just get lost watching Ricky going, oh my God, he's so hot. So good. And he's so talented. And then the dancers are like crippling going, can we take our shoes off? I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yes, please. Take your shoes off. Take a 5. Sorry, guys. I was over here. So yeah, Ricky was a wonderful, wonderful person to work with.
Amazing. And you were introduced to him through Janet, right? Through that Pepsi commercial. Is that how that went?
We met in Australia, of all places, doing
Crazy.
that commercial, and um, just kind of chatting, and like, I love your music, and literally I did. I was like, oh my god, if I could ever. I never said that to him because I would be way too embarrassed. But next thing I knew is literally the minute our tour ended is when we I got the call that they were interested in me for La Vida Loca.
And in Vita Loca, Nikki was in there, right? Nikki Pantenberg.
Uh-huh.
And was Shawnette in there too? I'm trying to remember. Like, did you? Yeah, did you have a couple of Janet people that came over?
I can't remember. I think she was. I know she assisted me on that. I just can't remember if she was actually one of the dancers. I think she was, though.
Okay. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
We're getting lots of people just writing how much they love having you on here. So thank you again, T, for doing this. Like and by the way, we were supposed to stop at 8:30. We've kept going. So are you cool for 10 more minutes? Is that cool?
Yes, I have enough brain bandwidth.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll try to get to a few more questions. I know a question that had come to me that I wanted to ask you was so you've done so much, obviously, wonderful choreography over the years, whether it was working with Janet, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, as we've just discussed, Shakira, the list goes on and on. T, do you have like 3 numbers that you could tell us right now that you're really proud of and you love, like those stick out for you as as an accomplishment that you're really happy you were a part of and you created?
Are we talking videos? Are we talking tours?
Whatever.
Are we talking
Whatever you choose.
I mean, If was my first kind of, big break with Janet, and I'm really still proud of that choreography, that number, all of that. So for sure, I would say the Velvet Rope as a whole.
Yep.
Because that one is yeah, I bled, wept, sweat, tears, whatever. Like, that was the one I think I was most involved with because it was my 3rd tour, and it was like, I understood at that point, okay, I get this. I know how it works. I know what we got to do next. I know what we haven't done before, where I want to push the boundaries. And then definitely La Vida Loca, because it was such a departure of what I had done with Janet, and it brought me to my Latin roots, which just kind of fell into place. So that's definitely one of the 3 for sure.
Somebody just wrote something here, and it actually sparked a question for me. Is when you guys did the American Music Awards together again, that was like a remix version that you did, which was super funky, right? Like, it was absolutely amazing. How was the decision made to go with the remix for that and not the song? Or the original song? Because I know you've talked to us before about how Janet, when she crafts tours with you, when you were working on, how it was always like, well, the song needs to be fairly original format so that the fans are getting what they've heard on the album. So to do this remix at the AMAs, like, was it just because you guys wanted to be like a little left of center, or you switch it up because you'd been on tour, I guess? So maybe that was it. I don't know.
I don't remember exactly. What I do remember was just that we all fell in love with it. And I want to say that it was kind of myself and Renee going like, can we do this? Like, this would be so cool. I think it was more him kind of when he got her alone, because I know she just likes to, especially if it's the first time anyone's ever heard the song, which I don't know if it was released yet. Maybe it was released.
I can't remember the timeline. It was, but yeah. And I want to say like that would have been the AMAs at that time were in January. So maybe that was January of 98 or 99. I can't remember, but
that it was already released. But I just remember us all going, oh my, if only, like, please, kind of like little kids going, Mom, if only we could just do the remix, we'd all be so happy. So it was kind of a little bit of like that kind of a push. And so when she agreed, it was like, oh my God, like, people are going to lose their minds, because it wasn't something that she normally did. So that alone, the song was so hot.
Yeah.
And like the way we exited, we're like, is this going to be good or not good? Like,
it was super funky. Like, I can still picture like how you guys kind of shuffled off. Like, it was like, did you have someone assist you with that because you had to come up with that like new choreography in a way, right? Like parts of it. So
gosh, I honestly don't remember. That may have been I want to see that was the one that I worked with Mike and Rob. So I
Okay.
think like weird thing that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
very,
yeah.
those two, I was like, they just start dancing. And I'm like, okay, let's do part of that, not all of it. Let's just, what did you just do? Let's just do that. And then Michael always had this kind of weird, kind of lanky, he was so long and loose. And
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll try that. I don't know, So I remember having them in the room, and I think that was the one that we did together.
Okay, amazing. No, it was such a great performance. Thank you, Mikey, for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. Let's see if there's some other questions. Just want to give a shout out to Lark Thomas, who's been logged in and commenting all night. So we really appreciate that, Lark. And she actually writes, how special Mike Andrews was, and rest in peace, Mike. And I know, such a loss, and he was such an amazing part of that team.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's just see here if I can get a few more questions in. Here's a question from Whitney Trailer. She wants to know, and actually I have a follow-up to this. So the question from Whitney is, do you watch Janet's current day projects? Like, have you been to one of her recent concerts, or like, have you did you watch like the Kentucky Derby performance, let's say?
I did not. Only the parts that people have posted. Yeah, because Kelly knows me. You guys don't know as much, but I just like social media and like Instagram, like all of that stuff is it's a lot for my brain. Like literally, you guys are all posting, and I've got dirt in my hands because I'm digging in my backyard. So I miss a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, is this old? Is this new? And I'm like, well, this looks new. So I've seen pieces of stuff, but literally, yeah, no, I miss most of it.
My follow-up question to that though is, I think it was 2015, you and Nikki went to see Janet in concert, right? Like when she first came back. So yes. Answer me this, what was it like for you? Because this would have been, I think, your first time seeing Janet from like the audience, right? As opposed to being up on stage with her. What was it like to watch, like, if your choreography being done like by her current group of kids, and you and Nikki, velvet rope dancers, like all, Janet tour people, watching that, like, what was that like for you?
It was weird.
You should be up there with her. Is that what it was, like a little bit, or?
It was very, cause I hadn't seen her perform in so long, but really I was kind of just watching her, cause I kind of felt like, and I hope this doesn't offend any of the fans, but I felt like she went through a period where I felt like there was something, it felt to me like she wasn't having fun the way she used to on stage. So when I went to that concert, that was the first thing I went, oh, she's back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on in her life. Because I don't listen to a lot of that stuff. Like I don't watch Entertainment Tonight. I don't, and if I do, I'm like, so I knew I'd heard some stuff about her marriage or something like that, but I didn't really know a lot. I just knew that all of a sudden I felt like she was back. It was Janet. I was like, and half the time I'm watching it going, holy crap, how is she still doing that? Because my neck hurts watching it. So in that respect, it's really hard because I can't turn off certain buttons where I'm things and like, would I do that different? Why is that happening? What's over there? Because I'm looking all over the stage. But that's my takeaway from probably all of it is watching her and watching how good I thought she looked and felt comfortable on stage. But it's always, and then to see my choreography is always like, oh, they kept it. That feels good,
Amazing. Well, it's legendary. It's legendary.
No matter.
So we're just about out of time, but I did want to take one last question, which I think is a good way to kind of just wrap it up before we announce our special guest for the month of July. Can you tell us, and you've told me this before, and if you do want to watch it, it's on one of the interviews, but I'd like Tina to give us the tonight version of it, which I'm sure is similar to what she said to me before. What was it like for you to see all the kids again, and new kids that you hadn't met yet, during the Hollywood Bowl performance in October of 2017?
Well, once I got over, oh my God, I hope I don't fall on stage.
Yeah.
That it was like being at a family reunion where you're meeting, you've got some of the cousins, those are cousins, but you don't really know who they are. But if you can stand back and go, wow, like we all kind of came from this one part of the tree. Like we're all connected through this one person. That part was really, really cool. And then while we were performing, like to feel the other dancers watching us, and then for me to go back to like, oh my gosh, like I was in the original Rhythm Nation video. Like I was there when Anthony was creating this moment. That these kids now are all witnessing. So it was kind of a very strange place to be, and to be aware of kind of all the different aspects of just that one night and that one. I mean, it felt like we did the whole show. We did one number, you know what I mean? But to have this common source that brought us all together, and that we're all there, and it just felt like just a big bubble of love. It was kind of cool.
Amazing. So I just want to thank everybody who has been chiming in on the chat and subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate that. And just before we announce our special guest for the month of July on Just Dance, please, if you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, there is more of it to be had if you subscribe to our Just Dance show. So again, hy.page / Kelly Alexander Show. My moderator CJ will put that all up there again for you to subscribe. So again, you hy.page / Kelly Alexander Show, you hit the Just Dance link, and then you subscribe for $4.49 a month. And we would really appreciate you supporting the show. So thank you so much. I want to thank Tina for doing this and hanging out with us. Tina, will you do this again? Because this was fun to like have some audience questions. Can we do this again?
Fun. I like it. You got some questions out there. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Amazing. So thank you. I want to thank all the fans. I do want a quick thank you to Mikey Garcia and Amy Bruckner, who did the designs for us to promote the live stream tonight. Thank you guys. You always show up for me. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Kristen Jerome, who's been moderating tonight. I want to thank the love of my life, Elaine, who's also been helping to moderate tonight. I really appreciate that. And now, before we sign off, do you want me to say the names, or you're going to say the names? No, you were going to say the names. Tina's going to say the names. So our July guests for Just Dance and the Just Dance content will be released this coming Sunday, July 24th. Our two new choreographers and creative directors who will be joining Tina and I on Just Dance are Nick and RJ. What? Yes, Nick Flores and RJ Durrell, who Nick, of course, if you're a Janet fan, you know, was on the All For You tour. And is an amazing dancer. He's also was in the Britney Spears videos and tour, I believe, as well. RJ's worked with Madonna, and currently they are the go-to choreographers for Pink. All of the crazy stuff that they do with Pink is like award-winning and amazing. They also did Katy Perry's Super Bowl performance a few years back. They're absolutely stunning. They're absolutely amazing. And they are the sweetest boys, right, T? Like the sweetest boys.
I just wanted to go through the Zoom and just like, just eat them.
They're amazing. And they also just did some shows on CBS, Come Dance With Me, which I think just finished but you can still watch it. And also Step Into the Movies with Derek and Julianne Hough. So they're amazing. Yeah. They're going to join us this Sunday. They'll be on our content. So again, hy.page / Kelly Alexander Show. My thanks again to everyone who tuned in tonight. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Hi Page, follow us on all the social media. And thank you so much. Have a great night, guys.